What does it really mean when a married man opens up to you? Imagine this. Life is moving as usual. You're not chasing anyone. You're not even looking for connection. And then he appears. He's attentive, vulnerable in ways you didn't expect. He shares pieces of himself that perhaps even his partner doesn't hear. But there's a catch. He's not free. He belongs to another life, another story. Still, something in his words and his gaze reaches toward you. Or maybe something inside you answers to his hidden need. You didn't invite this, but suddenly you're standing at the edge of a secret doorway, and the question rises. What does it really mean when a man who has already made his vows opens his heart to someone else? To go deeper, we need to step away from judgment and into truth. Because according to Carl Jung, this is not simply about romance, and it's not even about you. It's about him. About the cracks within his own psyche, the shadows he hasn't faced, the parts of himself he can't find at home. When a man opens up outside his marriage, it's rarely just about temptation. It's about an inner longing, a search for something lost within himself. The hidden weight behind his words. When a married man opens up to you, it may sound simple on the surface. He speaks, you listen, and the moment feels honest. Yet beneath his words lies a hidden weight, a burden carried silently for years. What you hear is not just information. It is a release of emotions and truths that he has not faced openly in his marriage or even within himself. At first, his words can feel flattering. His voice softens, his eyes seem steady, and he shares thoughts that sound private. It feels like you have been chosen, as though he trusts you in ways he cannot trust others. But this sense of privilege can be misleading. Often what he reveals is less about you and more about the pain he cannot hold inside anymore. The weight behind his words is shaped by his unmet needs, his frustrations, and the cracks in the image of stability he shows to the world. Jung explained that the unconscious always seeks expression. When someone hides their true feelings for too long, those feelings eventually push through in unexpected ways. For a married man, opening up to another woman is one such outlet. His words may sound intimate, but in many cases they are cries for recognition. He speaks not only to you but to the hidden parts of himself that demand to be seen. You are the witness of what he cannot confess at home. Listen carefully to the way he chooses his details. He may tell stories that highlight his struggles, his stress, or his disappointments. He may downplay other parts, leaving out moments that would show balance. This is not always a conscious lie. It is the way the psyche protects itself, offering only what feels safe to reveal. What you receive is not the whole picture but the fragment that his shadow pushes into the light. The weight is not just in what he says but also in what he avoids. The emotional charge of his words adds to the illusion. When someone speaks from a hidden place, their voice often carries intensity. Even ordinary sentences feel heavier, as though they contain more than the surface meaning. You may feel special hearing him, but what you are sensing is the release of years of silence. The sacred quality you notice does not come from love. It comes from the energy of suppressed emotions breaking free. This is why his words should not be mistaken for simple affection. In many cases, they are not confessions of love but reflections of inner conflict. He is not only talking to you, he is talking to himself through you. Jung would call this projection, placing his own unrecognized needs onto someone else. If he praises your calmness, it may be because he feels restless. If he admires your compassion, it may be because he cannot find it within himself. The weight behind his words is the shadow of what he lacks inside. For you, the listener, this can be confusing. His voice sounds genuine, his eyes look sincere, and the moment feels intimate. It is easy to believe that his trust means you are unique, but the truth is more complicated. His vulnerability has less to do with who you are and more to do with the space you provide. You become the container for emotions that he cannot show elsewhere. The weight you feel is not a gift of love. It is a burden transferred to you because he cannot carry it alone. Recognizing this changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to see that his words are shaped by his own imbalance. You understand that his honesty is selective, that the hidden weight reflects his struggles more than his devotion. This awareness protects you from being swept away by intensity. It helps you hear without mistaking fragments for destiny. The meaning is clear. When a married man opens up, his words are not light or casual. They are filled with the pressure of what he has kept silent in his marriage and within himself. You are not only hearing his voice, you are hearing the echo of his shadow, the cry of the parts he has buried. To see this truth is to step out of illusion and into clarity. His openness is not a promise. It is a reflection of the hidden weight behind his words. the male vulnerability that rarely shows at home. When a married man opens up to you, he reveals a side of himself that rarely appears inside his own house. Vulnerability is not something men are often taught to express. From early childhood, many are told to be strong, to hide their tears, to carry pain without showing it. By the time they grow up, this lesson becomes a habit. In marriage, this habit continues. They talk about daily life, work or family responsibilities, but they keep their deeper fears locked away. So when he chooses to speak to you, it feels striking. He may lower his voice, let his guard fall, and share emotions that he hides from everyone else. This is not the version his wife sees every day. It is a raw and fragile part of him that longs to be understood. The simple act of admitting stress, sadness, or longing can feel like a confession that carries great weight. But why does it happen with you and not with her? Often it is not because you are more special. It is because you are outside the structure of his marriage. At home, he may feel pressure to remain the strong one, the dependable figure. He fears that showing weakness could damage how his partner sees him. With you, those expectations do not exist. You become the place where his vulnerability can breathe without fear of judgment. According to Jung, the human psyche is always searching for balance. A man who spends years hiding his softer side eventually feels the need to let it out. If he cannot do that with his wife, he will find another way. Sometimes, without even realizing it, he chooses someone who seems safe enough to hold his hidden self. That person may be you. His openness is not only about attraction, it is also about his unconscious searching for relief. This side of him can be very powerful to witness. Vulnerability often creates a sense of closeness. When he tells you his private worries, it awakens your instinct to care, to listen, to connect. The contrast between the strong image he shows to the world and the fragile side he shows to you can feel magnetic. Yet it is important to keep perspective. You are seeing a slice of him, not the whole picture. At home, his wife might never see this side. Not because she is incapable of listening, but because his role in the marriage has become rigid. Once a man decides that home is not the place for certain emotions, he avoids breaking that pattern. Each time he chooses you instead of her, he deepens the divide. Slowly, he builds two emotional worlds, one public, one private. You become part of the private world, the hidden space where his vulnerability lives. This creates a paradox. The more he shares with you, the harder it becomes for him to share with her. His confessions feel real and raw, but they also carry the weight of secrecy. Jung described this process as projection. He projects his own need for acceptance onto you. You represent the compassion and openness he cannot access within himself. Until he learns to embrace those qualities on his own, he will keep looking outside. That is why his vulnerability may sound urgent. His words are not simply information. They are pleas for permission to exist as he truly is. He wants to be seen as more than a role or a duty. He wants to be seen as human. And while that honesty is real, the setting is misplaced. It does not belong outside his marriage. It belongs within the bond he already chose. So when you listen, do not mistake his openness for proof of destiny. It is not a sign that he has found his true match. It is a sign of imbalance, of a man who has not yet learned to share himself fully in the relationship that should hold his deepest truth. His vulnerability is real, but it is not complete. It is a fragment of his inner struggle, placed in your hands because he cannot yet place it where it belongs. The meaning is clear. When a married man shows you his fragile side, it does not prove love. It shows the gap between who he is and who he pretends to be. To see this is to protect yourself from illusions and to understand the deeper truth. His vulnerability is not a gift to you, but a reflection of what he has not resolved within himself and within his home. Before we continue, if you want to truly understand Jung's secrets and unlock the hidden patterns in your life, explore the Jung method. The link is pinned in the first co. When his attention is not about you, but about himself. When a married man begins to focus his attention on you, it can feel deeply personal. He looks into your eyes, he asks thoughtful questions, and he seems fully present. You may believe his attention proves that you are different, that you stand apart from everyone else in his life. But the truth is more complex. Much of his attention is not truly about you. It is about him, his struggles, his longings, and the parts of himself he has forgotten. Jung explained that people often project their hidden needs onto others. What we admire in someone else is frequently what we lack or have lost within ourselves. When a married man gives you intense attention, he may not be seeing you clearly. He may be seeing a mirror of his own unmet desires. If he praises your calmness, it may be because he feels restless. If he values your freedom, it may be because he feels trapped. His focus, though real, is shaped more by his hunger than by your uniqueness. This is why his attention can feel so powerful. It is charged with energy, because it carries the weight of emotions he has not resolved. You may feel chosen, but what you are experiencing is his unconscious searching for balance. He looks at you, but he is reaching for himself. The glow you see in his eyes reflects his own longing. This does not mean he is insincere. In the moment, his feelings are real, but they are mixed with confusion. He is not only drawn to you, he is drawn to the version of himself that he believes he can recover through you. His attention is less a gift of love and more a signal of imbalance. To interpret it as devotion risks misunderstanding what is truly happening. Think about the way his focus shifts. Sometimes he speaks of admiration, other times of relief. Both reveal pieces of his inner world. What he wants from you is not only companionship, but validation of the parts of himself he cannot express in his marriage. When he looks at you, he is asking silently, "Can I still be this version of me?" You become the proof he seeks, the mirror reflecting back what he misses. For you, this experience can be confusing. His words sound sincere and his presence feels strong. It is tempting to believe that his attention is destiny. But when you look closer, you see the pattern. His focus on you grows strongest when his dissatisfaction at home grows deeper. The connection feels alive, but it is tied to what he cannot face in his daily life. You are not the source of his need. You are the place where his need shows itself. Jung often warned that relationships built on projection begin with intensity, but rarely last. The projection eventually fades and reality appears. For a married man, that reality is heavy. The attention he gave you may weaken, not because you changed, but because the inner hunger that fueled it was never about you in the first place. It was about him. This is why it is dangerous to define your worth by his focus. When he looks at you with intensity, it may feel like proof that you are special, but his attention is not stable because it comes from imbalance. The moment his needs shift, the focus may disappear. Recognizing this early protects you from being carried away by illusions. The meaning is simple. When his attention feels overwhelming, step back and see it clearly. Much of what he directs toward you is not about your identity. It is about his search for himself. You are not the cause of his hunger. You are the mirror where it becomes visible. Understanding this truth frees you from confusion. It shows you that his attention, though real, does not define love. It only reveals his own unresolved story, the reflection of shadows in married life. Every marriage holds more than what is visible. On the outside, a man may appear complete, steady in his role, faithful to his responsibilities, devoted to his family. Yet beneath the image lies another layer, one Jung called the shadow. The shadow is made of all the emotions, desires, and fears that do not fit the picture he tries to present. Instead of disappearing, these hidden parts wait silently. Over the years, they grow heavier. And when he opens up to you, even if only in words, what you hear is not just his story. You are hearing the voice of his shadow. Inside his home, he may not feel safe enough to reveal these pieces. He thinks his wife expects him to remain strong, certain, and in control. To show weakness might feel like failing, so he suppresses what hurts. But suppression does not erase. It only pushes the feelings deeper. At some point, they need release, and when he shares them with you, the energy comes out charged. His words may sound more intense than expected. The weight is not only in the details, but in the years of silence behind them. The contrast between his home self and his secret self creates confusion. At home, he plays the dependable role. With you, he lowers the mask. This difference can feel like intimacy, but it is also imbalance. You see a rawer version of him, one that longs for understanding. Yet remember, you are not seeing the whole man. You are witnessing the side he chooses to reveal under the push of his shadow. This explains why his confessions often focus on pain. He may tell you about loneliness, unmet needs, or disappointments. Rarely will he emphasize moments of joy. That is because the shadow exaggerates what is missing. It does not paint the full picture. Listening to him, you might believe that his marriage is only emptiness. But often it is not that simple. The shadow filters his words, making problems sound larger while hiding whatever still works. Jung described projection as one way shadows escape. When he looks at you, he may not fully see who you are. Instead, he sees qualities he feels deprived of. If you are calm, you represent relief from his restlessness. If you are compassionate, you become the answer to his silence. In reality, those qualities belong to him too, but he cannot integrate them. So he projects them onto you. His attention feels deep, but it is partly a mirror reflecting his own hunger. This is why the bond may feel powerful. He is not only speaking, he is releasing years of hidden energy. Suppressed emotions carry intensity when they finally rise. His words may sound sacred and you may feel chosen, but the intensity does not always mean love. Often it is simply the force of release. Like steam from a closed container, it rushes out wherever it finds an opening. In this case, the opening is you. The danger is mistaking this release for destiny. Because the moment feels rare, it is easy to believe you are the one who completes him. But what is really happening is that his shadow has found a stage. The closeness is real, but its foundation is secrecy and imbalance. His marriage still exists, yet parts of him are being lived outside of it. That split is what you are witnessing. Seeing this clearly protects you from illusions. His stories are not empty, but they are incomplete. They reveal fragments of his truth shaped by shadow, not by balance. A man who has not faced his hidden side will always search for outlets. Until he integrates those parts, his openness will appear in secret places, never fully whole. The lesson is simple. When a married man opens up to you, listen with awareness. Ask yourself whether his words describe you, or whether they describe the side of himself he cannot face at home. More often than not, it is the second. His openness is not only about romance, it is the reflection of shadows in married life. Shadows that will remain until he learns to face them with honesty inside the bond he already chose. The illusion of intimacy and the emptiness he tries to fill. When a married man opens up to you, it may feel like intimacy at its deepest level. His voice slows, his eyes soften, and he shares what seems to be hidden from the rest of the world. In that moment, you may feel chosen, as if you are the one person who truly knows him. The connection feels special, unique, even sacred. Yet what appears to be intimacy can often be something else. What you are seeing is not always love. It is the attempt to cover emptiness that has grown inside of him. Intimacy in its true form is not just private words or secret confessions. It is the courage to be whole in front of another person, to bring both strength and weakness into the same space without fear. In marriage, that is supposed to be natural. But for many men, it is not. They remain behind roles: the provider, the protector, the steady figure. These roles leave little room for fragility. So even with a wife or family close by, he may feel that his most vulnerable self is invisible. That gap creates a void that he does not know how to face. When he sits with you and opens his heart, that void feels smaller. Your presence gives him permission to let go of the mask. He breathes, speaks, and feels heard. The relief is real and it carries the flavor of intimacy, but it is not intimacy grounded in truth. It is intimacy borrowed in secret, a temporary answer to something much deeper. You are not only receiving his words, you are being asked to carry the part of him that he has hidden from the life he already built. The illusion grows stronger because of contrast. If home has turned repetitive, your presence feels alive. If his wife seems distracted, your listening feels rare. Every moment of attention confirms the idea that you understand him more than anyone else. But often, what he sees in you is the reflection of what he lacks. Jung explained that unmet needs disguise themselves as attraction. The pull feels strong, but it is fueled by longing rather than by destiny. That is why his words may sound urgent. He might tell you that no one else listens the way you do, or that you make him feel alive again. Those phrases sound flattering, but they reveal more about his inner emptiness than about your uniqueness. He is reaching for what he cannot find in himself or in his marriage. You become the outlet, but the void inside him remains unresolved. For a time, the exchange looks balanced. He shares you comfort. He confesses, you hold space. But the truth is, the roles lean heavily in his favor. Real intimacy is built between equals. This version is tilted. He receives relief and you carry the weight. The bond feels alive, but it is built on an imbalance that cannot last. The emptiness he tries to fill may come from many sources. It could be the distance of routine, the pressure of responsibilities, or wounds left from long ago. Whatever the cause, the attempt to cover it outside of marriage is only a temporary fix. It creates the illusion of closeness, but it does not heal. Each confession delays the moment when he must face the truth. For you, the experience can be confusing. His emotions look real, his voice sounds sincere, and his eyes reflect pain. It is tempting to believe that this is proof of love. But in reality, you are stepping into a space created by lack, not fullness. The passion feels strong because it is fed by hunger, not because it is whole. This is the danger of the illusion. It feels deep, but it is not complete. Intimacy built in shadows cannot grow into something lasting. It lives outside of truth, dependent on secrecy. Even if his words are honest, they are not honest in the right place. They belong in his marriage, where they could build real healing. By sharing them with you, he creates comfort but not resolution. Jung believed that the psyche always seeks to restore balance. A man who avoids his emptiness at home will search for another door. When he finds you, he feels a sense of relief. But relief is not the same as truth. Until he faces his emptiness within himself, the same hunger will return. The meaning is clear. What looks like intimacy may be only a moment of comfort. It is real in the way it feels, but incomplete in what it offers. His openness is not proof of destiny. It is proof of the emptiness he is trying to soothe, and you are the place where that attempt takes shape. The thin line between desire, escape, and inner truth. When a married man opens up to you, his words can create confusion. At times they sound like desire. At other times they sound like escape, and hidden beneath both, there may be a deeper truth about himself that even he does not understand. The line separating these three elements is thin. To you, it may feel like a simple story of attraction, but in reality it is a mixture of impulses that reveal his inner struggle more than his devotion. Desire is natural. Human beings are wired to notice, to feel, and to long for connection. When he speaks softly, when his eyes linger, when his voice lowers as he shares personal details, it is easy to believe that the moment is charged with pure attraction, and in part it is. Yet desire alone does not explain why he opens up to you instead of to his wife. If it were only about attraction, he could keep it on the surface. The fact that he lets you into his hidden world means something more is happening. That something more often looks like escape. Escape from routine, escape from responsibility, escape from the role he has carried for too long. When he sits with you, he feels a different atmosphere. He does not need to be the strong one, the decision maker, or the provider. He can be uncertain, even fragile. That relief creates the illusion that what you share is unique. But much of it is about leaving behind the weight he feels at home. In you, he sees a doorway out of his own prison, even if just for a short while. Yet underneath both desire and escape lies the third element, inner truth. Jung explained that every encounter carries meaning because it reflects the state of the soul. The married man's openness is not random. It shows what is unresolved inside him. His longing is not just for you as a person. It is for qualities he has lost within himself: freedom, lightness, passion, or peace. You become the mirror where those lost qualities appear. In this way, the truth is less about romance and more about self-discovery he is avoiding. The thin line between these elements is what makes his words confusing. One day he may sound passionate, as if he cannot resist the pull toward you. The next he may sound tired, using you as his escape from stress. And in both, a deeper message whispers. He is struggling with parts of himself that he has not integrated. To mistake all of it for love is to step into illusion. This does not mean his feelings are fake. They are real in the moment, but they are mixed. Attraction, relief, and longing all blend together. That mixture feels intense, but intensity is not clarity. In fact, intensity often hides the lack of clarity. The stronger the feelings seem, the harder it becomes to see the truth. The truth is simple. His openness is a sign of imbalance within him, not a declaration of lasting love. For you, the listener, this thin line is dangerous. His words may touch your heart. His presence may make you feel chosen, but what he brings is not whole. It is divided energy. Part desire, part escape, part hidden truth. If you do not see the division, you risk carrying his confusion as if it were your own. Recognizing the thin line allows you to step back. Ask yourself, does this moment feel grounded or fleeting? Does it sound like a promise or like a man searching for relief? Most of the time, his words reveal more about his struggle than about your connection. Seeing this clearly does not take away the intensity, but it gives you wisdom. You learn to separate what belongs to you from what belongs to him. Jung taught that wholeness comes when a person unites their divided parts. Until a man faces his own shadow, he will live split between desire, escape, and truth. He will continue to look outside for answers that can only be found inside. You may feel honored that he opens up to you, but his openness is less a gift and more a signal of his unfinished inner work. The meaning is clear. When a married man shares his hidden side, he is walking a thin line. What he calls closeness may be attraction, what feels like trust may be escape, and what looks like love may simply be the reflection of his own longing for wholeness. To see this distinction is to protect yourself from illusion, and to understand what his words truly mean. What Jung's psychology reveals about this secret move: Carl Jung believed that human behavior is never random. Every action, every choice, even the ones we call mistakes, carry a deeper meaning rooted in the unconscious. When a married man opens up to someone outside his marriage, it is not only a social act or a private weakness, it is a message from his inner world. His openness is a symptom of conflict between the life he shows and the life he hides. To understand this moment, Jung's psychology gives us the keys. The first key is projection. Jung explained that people often project what they cannot face within themselves onto others. A married man may look at you and believe that you hold qualities no one else has. He may say you are the one who understands him, the only one who listens, the person who makes him feel alive. In truth, those qualities are parts of himself that he has lost contact with. You do not carry his freedom, his joy, or his peace. He does. But because he cannot see them inside, he sees them in you. The second key is shadow. The shadow is the side of the self that remains hidden, carrying fear, anger, or desire that does not fit the image a person wants to show. For a married man, the shadow may hold feelings of frustration, longing, or vulnerability. In marriage, he may suppress them to protect the picture of stability. Yet the shadow does not vanish, it waits. When he opens up to you, what you hear is not just confession, you hear his shadow speaking through him. The third key is individuation. Jung taught that the purpose of life is to become whole, to integrate all parts of the self into one balanced being. But most people resist this process. They prefer comfort over truth. They hide the parts of themselves that feel inconvenient. For a married man, opening up to someone else is often a sign that he has not completed this inner work. Instead of integrating, he splits. One side of him is the husband who fulfills duties. The other side is the man who seeks secret relief. You become the witness of his unfinished journey toward wholeness. The fourth key is the anima, the inner feminine side of a man's psyche. According to Jung, when a man represses his anima, he may project it onto a real woman. He may believe you embody sensitivity, beauty, or wisdom he cannot find within. This projection creates powerful emotions. He feels drawn to you not only as a person, but as a symbol of the anima he has neglected. His words of intimacy, then, are not only about you. They are about the inner feminine he must rediscover inside himself. Together, these keys reveal the truth. His secret move of opening up is not about fate or romance. It is about inner imbalance. What looks like love is often the unconscious searching for healing. What feels like destiny may be a signal of unfinished work. Understanding this protects you from illusions. Jung's psychology also shows the danger of ignoring these truths. When a man believes his projections without questioning them, he builds relationships on illusion. He expects another person to complete what only he can resolve. The result is confusion, disappointment, and cycles of repeated behavior. Until he faces his shadow, reclaims his projections, and integrates his anima, he will continue to look outside for what belongs inside. For you, hearing his confessions can feel like a compliment, but Jung would advise caution. You are not simply listening to his truth. You are holding the voice of his unconscious. His words may be sincere, but they are not whole. They are colored by need, by shadow, by longing. If you mistake them for destiny, you risk becoming trapped in his unfinished work. The value of Jung's perspective is clarity. It allows you to see his openness not as romance, but as psychology. You learn that his attention is real, but it is driven by forces within him that he does not yet understand. The moment feels alive, but it is not stable. Only when he chooses to face himself honestly will his words gain true meaning. The meaning, then, is this. When a married man opens up to you, you are not simply hearing love. You are hearing projection, shadow, anima, and longing for individuation. These are not signs of a destined bond. They are signals of his inner struggle. To see them clearly is to free yourself from illusion and to respect the truth of his journey. His move is secret, but the psychology behind it reveals everything. The choice that remains for you when he opens up. When a married man opens up to you, the weight of the moment falls on your shoulders. His words sound honest, his eyes appear sincere, and his voice carries the tone of trust. It can feel like a rare gift, as if you have been invited into a secret chamber of his heart. Yet the moment also places you at a crossroads, because while he may find relief in speaking, you are the one left to decide what to do with his openness. That choice belongs to you, and it carries consequences that shape both your life and his. The first part of the choice is recognizing what his words truly mean. They may sound like love, but they are often the expression of needs he has not faced within himself. Jung's psychology reminds us that projection and shadow often guide hidden behavior. The married man may believe that you complete him, that you are the one who understands him best, but what he sees in you are often pieces of himself that he has neglected. If you confuse his projection for love, you risk building your sense of worth on something that is not stable. The second part is understanding the cost of stepping into his secret world. Each time he shares with you, he builds a bond outside of his marriage. That bond may feel strong, but it is built on secrecy. What is hidden cannot grow into something whole. Even if his emotions are genuine, they are divided between two lives. The more you accept his confessions, the more you carry a role that does not belong to you, the keeper of his hidden self. This role can feel powerful at first, but over time it becomes heavy. You become the space where he hides, not the space where he heals. The third part of the choice is deciding what you will allow. You cannot control his needs, but you can control your boundaries. Listening to him does not obligate you to carry his weight. Compassion does not require sacrifice. You have the right to step back, to protect your own heart, to remember that his words are about him more than about you. Choosing clarity is not cruelty, it is wisdom. The fourth part is realizing that his journey is not yours to finish. If he feels trapped, if he longs for freedom, if he craves intimacy, those are signals of the work he must do within his own marriage and within himself. You cannot resolve his shadow. You cannot integrate his lost pieces for him. Only he can face the truth of his life. The temptation is to believe that you are the answer, but you are not. You are the mirror showing him what he has ignored. That is important, but it is not the same as being his destiny. The fifth part is choosing your own path forward. You may decide to distance yourself, to protect your peace, to refuse to carry what does not belong to you. You may choose to listen with compassion but without involvement. Or you may decide to cut the tie completely, freeing yourself from the illusion before it grows deeper. Whatever you choose, the point is that the choice is yours. His openness does not define your role. You define it by the boundaries you set. The final part of the choice is remembering your worth. A man who is already committed but seeks refuge elsewhere is not offering you his whole self. He is offering fragments. You deserve more than fragments. You deserve honesty, presence, and love that does not need to hide. When you remember this, his words lose some of their power. They still sound sincere, but you see them for what they are. Pieces of his unresolved struggle, and so the path becomes clear. His openness is not the beginning of a love story. It is the sign of a man divided between two lives. You cannot heal him. You cannot complete him, and you cannot carry his hidden emptiness. But you can choose to honor yourself. You can choose clarity over confusion, light over shadow, truth over illusion. Because in the end, the meaning of his words is less about him and more about you. What matters most is not what he says, but how you decide to respond. That decision is the place where your strength rises, and it is the choice that protects your peace, your dignity, and your future.